We are back with yet another edition of Recruiter Fuel, sponsored by the Recruitment Education Institute. My name's Steve Lois. I am your host for most of our Recruiter Fuel sessions. The whole idea behind Recruiter Fuel is a community of recruiters with the purpose of supporting professional recruiters. And our goal is to provide at least three things. One, address common problems in the recruiting and sourcing space. Number two, turn those into opportunities and avoid those problems. And number three, and this is where our guests come into play, is to be able to give you one or two pieces of practical advice where you'll be able to take that back and employ that in your organization today or as soon as tomorrow. And with me today, I've got yet another new person that we're going to have some conversation with, and we've got Mary. Mary, thank you for joining us on this edition of Recruiter Fuel.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So Mary, you're not giving yourself enough credit in terms of the experience that you have in recruiting and sourcing, but for the audience that's actually watching this, give them a little bit of your background and what your role is today.
Yeah, so right now working as a sourcer, obviously with Qualligence, my background mostly has been within customer service, which is where I feel I strive. That's where my go-to is. I love the idea of being able to help people, and customer service really fit that background. So working within customer service, I was working as a CSR, also working as a store manager, working as a key holder. I think all of those played into that part of being able to help and work directly with people, which is where I found my true passion.
So now you're doing the sourcing bit. So you've taken all of that and dealing with people, connecting with people, and so on. Has it been an easy transition into the sourcing side of the table?
I would say it's an easy transition. The only thing that's very different is, of course, the face-to-face with people. You know, you're not working in a retail setting where you have that person at a counter to work with. Instead, you're on the phone with them. But ultimately, it's the same conversations. It's the same general idea of being able to help a person to a common goal or, talk them through a certain situation, things like that. So I do feel like there's a lot of similarities, while also I'm learning a lot more about how to communicate with people and just overall on the phone, learning more about everyone that I talk to. So
and maybe you've answered this. This is always question number two, and I try to ask some of the same questions of each one of our guests to give everybody that perspective. So what would you say is the best part of the sourcing? So you're really doing sourcing and recruiting from my perspective, but what do you think is the best part of what you do, and what is the biggest challenge of what you do?
I would say the best part of what I do, honestly, is the conversations I get to have with people. It's just knowing that I'm giving them an opportunity to find the right job and the right fit for them. It's not just about finding the right candidate for a client. It's about finding the right fit for that candidate and moving them from a situation where maybe they're in like a toxic work environment or they're having some kind of struggle and they really need that change at this time, and they're able to go into a new role, a new environment, a more positive environment is really what my passion is, being able to help that person in a way.
You've described candidate-focused recruiting perfectly. And if you want to know more about candidate-focused recruiting, go to the Recruitment EDU website, recruitmentedu.com. Look up candidate-focused recruiting. There's some free stuff out there for you. Definitely sign up for that. So thank you for sharing that. Now, and I've asked this of all of our previous attendees, is the economy is what it is right now, and there's a ton of jobs open. And I'm hearing from leaders that just can't fill all the positions that they have. What's your take on this from a sourcing perspective?
From a sourcing perspective, it is hard. Obviously, it's a hard market right now, and it's hard to convince people, of the things that they're going through and the changes that it's worth taking that jump. Because it's so hard to get someone to take a jump right now. Everything is so unexpected, everything is all over the place. And so having that ability to reassure someone that what they're going into is better than where they're coming from is a huge thing. And I think it's all about changing your methods. We're adapting to things right now. Everything is adaptable.
Sure.
So I think it's just adapting to what they're looking for, and also the market and the way things are, figuring out different ways to talk to people, reach out to people that maybe weren't efficient in the past, but now are that go-to for us.
So along those lines, what's one or two practical pieces of advice that you give to another sourcer or another recruiter, given where we are? Because Recruiter Fuel is all about, hey, let's get some advice out there. Let's give something that's worked for you, especially given the economy that we have right now, to the people that are watching. What is that one or two pieces of advice that you would give from a sourcing perspective?
I think it's just utilizing resources that we haven't utilized before.
Like?
And Like Facebook is a huge resource right now. I mean, everyone being everywhere, you're focused on Facebook because a lot of people are getting their news from Facebook and things like that.
Okay, that's a little scary in and of itself.
It is. But being able to reach out to people, I think, on different platforms. I mean, TikTok has blown up and everyone's on TikTok. So, being able to reach out to someone in a space that you haven't before, I think is really starting to change the way that we're recruiting. And I would say, utilize those tools. Don't be afraid of them. Jump into them and use them at this point. They can only help.
So how do you use a tool like TikTok for sourcing?
A lot of dance videos, Steve.
Okay. Maybe if you're looking for a dancer, but what's the practical application of something like that from your perspective?
Capturing people's attention.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Teaching them about something that maybe they didn't know about in the first place. A lot of times, you're talking to people who think that they're stuck in a job that they know nothing about. Educate them on what recruiting is. Educate them on maybe a totally different job field than they ever thought they were able to go into. Let them know that the skills and the applications that they've worked on in the past can work for their new job, and kind of just capturing them, I think, in a totally different light than what they thought was possible.
Okay, here we go. You ready to go on TikTok
Yeah.
right now? So let's be serious. I mean, if I'm a new sourcer or if I'm a newer recruiter and I'm camera shy, I mean, TikTok, really?
I think there's a lot of ways that you can do videos and you can do those, sets and things like that without having to be directly on camera.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the beauties of like all the different social media platforms. With Instagram, you're focused on pictures. What can you do with those pictures? A picture with some words on it can be way more impactful than just a post on Facebook.
Sure.
You capture someone's attention just with a photo. And so I think just being able to use that to your comfort level and your advantage is really what we need to start doing.
I saw an image yesterday of an organization. So it's a large company.
Yeah.
Their CEO, there was a picture of their CEO on Instagram. The recruiter had actually posted it of their CEO doing the job of that an engineer. There's a lab around and all this stuff. And there was some kind of comment of, there is an opportunity on our engineering team. It was a little bit more worded, a little bit better than that. But the comment after comment after comment, because the recruiter took a picture of the CEO, put those words over, was incredible. I mean, I messaged her later, and she had like 1,500 people that said, I'm interested in what you guys are doing, especially because you got your CEO into that room.
Right, yeah. And I think it's fun also to show people the sides of, the job that are fun. And everyone thinks, like it's just strict work. You have some of those accounts and some of those posts where you have people who are having fun in a workplace. And honestly, even though it's nothing that's focused on specifically, come in and take on a job with us or something like that. It could be as crazy as, everyone in the office doing scooter races around the office. It captures people's attention.
Isn't there a picture of you or video of you doing that?
I think there is. Hopefully not too embarrassing, but it's out there.
But I think that's a good point. I mean, presenting the reality of an organization, and no organization is perfect. Doesn't matter where you work, where I work, where anybody else works, but I think there's something about the reality of here's what we do, good or bad, on a daily basis, helps set you apart when you're recruiting for that organization or for yourself.
And I think organizations and that environment is a huge thing, especially in, nowadays. And so showing someone that there's a positive environment, that alone in itself can be a huge, huge thing and a huge bonus for people. I know that is for me. And I think it's great to have people seeing, people having fun at work, enjoying what they do. Have fun at your job. You don't have to go to a 9-to-5 every day hating it. You can love it.
If you enjoy it, it's not so much work anymore.
Exactly. You can love it.
That's awesome. All right, so last question.
Yes.
Because we like to continue the series of having guests on. Who's another recruiting professional, sourcing professional that you think would be great in providing some ideas to the community that's watching?
So I think one of our newer recruiters, Jillian Cohen, actually has a very similar background to me. She's a really, really good person when it comes to the manufacturing space and things like that. I think she'd be a great person to have on just to hear a little bit more from that side of things. She's a little new to our organization, so I'm really excited to kind of hear some of the things that she has to say and some of her experiences, to be honest.
Awesome. I'll be knocking on her door pretty quickly.
Sounds good.
Make sure you let her know that
I'll
I'll be
warn
coming
her.
after her. Mary, thank you for sharing, even with the limited experience that you have. Again, don't cut yourself short. I think you've got some great things to share with the community at large, so appreciate the time on that.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all of you watching this. Again, Recruiter Fuel is about a community of recruiters that support each other to make us all better. If you've got an idea that you want to share share, you want to come on and share it, let me know, message me directly. And if you want to make sure you're notified of every one of our videos that comes out, click on the link that's on your screen right now, sign up for those notifications. Thank you again for joining us at Recruiter Fuel, and welcome to the community.